Hey everybody, welcome to the Daily Space Weather. I'm your host Dan, aka smAsho. We're looking at a giant coronal hole at the North Pole of the Sun, degrading sunspots, coronal holes associated with the South Pole of the Sun. And we're about to return to zero sunspots, folks. Yes, that sunspot's probably going to lose its name today. A bunch of filamentary activity happening down here also. And we're shortening up today's video a little bit, which will be grounds for celebration for some of you, I suppose. Just kidding, folks. All right. Looking at helioviewer, there are the fields. And sunspot 2771 has shrunk. Allow me to vanish entirely. And here's a custom view of the fields. Nothing too exciting happening there. Here's the 171 angstroms view of the same exact region. And you see there is a little flare and a little bit of ejecta, which I believe has collapsed back onto the sun's chromosphere. Right there, you see the ejecta come out. I'll let that play through a couple more times for all of you solar pornographers. And thanks for tuning in and being a heliophysicist. Great view of that activity there in the southeast. Have you seen this? Are you convinced that it's a UFO? I thought it was a comet when I first saw it. I don't know why you can't have a double or a triple comet. It doesn't seem that unlikely. But in any case, there is analysis about it on spaceweather.com. So perhaps check that out if you want to read their analysis of it. And it's named for the Soho that discovered it. By the way, the 10.7 centimeter radio flux, still at 73 solar flux units. And we're about to see a drop in the sunspot number back down to 0 in my opinion. Next, looking at the KP index, which is at 2. And we saw a little tiny bit of flaring there. I don't know if that was a B class. I think that was a B class. Very small flare. Not a lot of X-ray flux. Not a lot of proton flux. No big mass ejections striking the magnetosphere or anything at the current time. Got some power outages in Illinois and Iowa. Illinois. I don't know why they don't pronounce it correctly. It's Illinois. Not Illinois. It annoys me to hear people say Illinois. I mean, do you pronounce it Plymouth? Why are you saying Plymouth? Greenwich Village? What the heck? No. All right, I'm back, folks. I was gone, and now I've returned. To look at the real-time solar wind. We recently saw some shifts in the phi angle and the BTBZ. Perhaps an increase in the power of the south solar polar field? Solar wind density has just become a little bit variable here. You see a small uptick in the speed and density at the same time. Could be a little bit of ejecta striking. Not really noteworthy regardless. Current solar wind density around 4.5 protons per cubic centimeter. Current solar wind speed very low at 315 kilometers a second. Here's the Geospace Magnetosphere movie. And again, we are shortening the coverage a little bit today. Here's 4 hours of data on the magnetosphere. It's the magnetohydrodynamic pressure. And by the way, that is in units of nanopascals. And we see a more normal looking plasmasphere right now. Nothing too odd to report on there, although it is a little weak, and that has to do with the diffuse and slow solar wind speed. The diffuse density and the slow speed. So here's the magnetic perturbations a little closer to home on the globe during this polar excursion when we have 2 north geomagnetic poles. If you weren't aware, I try not to say it every day and sound like a broken record. And the South Pole has left the Antarctic continent. Anyway, there's 4 hours of ground magnetic perturbations. Nothing too exciting happening there. Here's the GOES magnetometer data for the last 3 days. And we're seeing continued spikiness And we've got variable amounts of plasma in between us and the sun, and that's what causes it. So you can see these areas here where you have these bunched up potential field force lines. That's because there's a bunch of plasma in between the sun's magnetic field and our magnetometers. So we're going to continue to see that spikiness, and we could be getting into the South Pole current sheet at any moment, really. Keep in mind this data is 1 hour and 28 minutes old, and this situation can suddenly change. Don't be surprised when it does. Here's a line of sight field plot that also shows you the B field, which is the interplanetary magnetic field as well. You live on that one, that blue field there. And we see possibly a strengthening of the south solar polar field, but we really do have a good view of the north solar polar coronal hole right now. It's quite well defined today. And by the way, smAshlights is not going to exist in today's daily space weather video. We already did it. So it's going to premiere at 6 o'clock. Make sure you check that out. It's going to be different. Press like and subscribe if you enjoy the content on YouTube, please. As we've only got 1.61 thousand subscribers, and we're paid almost nothing to make these videos. We've also diversified our output to BitChute, and there are exclusives there, such as this one, which includes information about hydroxychloroquine, yes, since it got instantly demonetized and buried in search on YouTube. Thanks to our subs over there as well. Thanks to our patrons, the real source of funding for the content. We don't show you the Patreon page because it shows information that I can't just let publicly visible. So that's why I never show the Patreon page. We're also on Subscribestar. Thanks to everybody supporting us in whatever way you are. There's a great story about Beetlejuice today, which is in today's smAshlights, as well as stuff about HuffPo, BuzzFeed. Nothing about lawyers because I didn't want to see my blood pressure go up into the stratosphere. We've also started some new forum topics. Check out smashomash.com/forum if you haven't. And let's get political, political. I want to get political. Let's get in the political. Let me hear your COVID talk. Your COVID talk. Let me hear your COVID talk. By the way, check out the merch if you haven't. We've opened there's actually 3 storefronts at Teespring. Honestly, there's 3 storefronts. We're only advertising 2 right now because one of them is the brand store, and it's not established yet. My next shirt is probably going to be I survived the global pandemic so far. I think I'm going to get it in gold. Now maybe I'll get it I think I'm going to get it in purple. What say you? For all of you who've planned to buy a shirt, dudes. Or maybe some leggings. I got to get a set of those too. I don't think they'll fit. I'll just give them to the girlfriend if they don't fit. It's perfect. Smash staff. You know nothing about this. We've also got the 3C405 Bagashov edition, where we put it in girly colors for the amusement of Eugene Bagashov. He doesn't like my graphic design, folks. He's got good taste in particle physics and bad taste in graphic design. Sorry, Eugene. Let's do a video soon. We can talk about Belarus or perhaps about cosmology or perhaps propaganda. We've put new merch on the affiliate links, including my bio bug-out bag. Yes, this is my bio bug-out bag. If you want a link to it, head to smashomash.com/affiliate. Then you won't have to go through a big search. You'll just find it right there, along with a box of gloves, chemical-resistant gloves, Tychem disposable hazmat suit, goggles, N95 pad filters, canister filter caps to hold your pad filters, smashed potatoes, shoe goo, and supplements, and even a pulse oximeter. Because America desperately needs a second opinion, and if you've got a doctor proposing to do something stupid to you, if a doctor proposes a treatment that is potentially life-threatening, get a second opinion and watch smAshlights. Watch all the smAshlights. Subscribe to the playlist. Then you'll see them when they first come out, and you'll be able to see what we said in other smAshlights. And shout out to Danielle Scott. Thanks for trying to make Lehigh County great again. Restoring Lehigh County. Thanks for trying to restore Lehigh County. We haven't seen warning levels of electron flux, and we're expecting a downtick. I sort of agree with this forecast right now, as we're getting a little bit of a lull in activity. Here's what's going on in the full air column. You can see the time date stamps, I think. Looks like you can. Let's bring it back so you don't miss a second. And you're going to see GPS errors where you see these yellow blobs, that's all. This will show you GPS errors. and we get them sometimes. I keep Wi-Fi location services turned off because I like to see the GPS errors. It gives me insight into the physics of the atmosphere. Next, looking at just the ionosphere layer. The last one was all the atmosphere, up to the thermosphere. And everything's looking totally normal on both of those data sets. Here's where stuff is in the solar system as Mercury swings around. And we approach a new moon. There's where things will be in a week, God willing. Here's what's going on above the head. There's a great crescent moon out there, and Venus on the ecliptic, as well as Mars and Saturn. Depending on what time of day it is where you are, if you're up before dawn, you should have a fantastic view. I saw an orange-colored crescent moon pre-Venus rise this morning. I did not go out to look at Perseids, and I doubt that I'll get around to it. I'm a little bit too overworked and underpaid, folks. And it's all going to change pretty soon. If you see major changes to the channel, that'll be why. Looking at earthquakes, we see a 4.3 having struck yesterday at 234 kilometers depth near Indonesia. An aftershock from a 6+ magnitude quake off the coast of Tanzania. Let's check the location of that one in the African Rift Zone. Yes, also in the ocean. Please leave us a comment if you felt that quake. And I hate the way that opens a new tab now. That's, ew! Here's a deep quake in the Rat Islands. Or is it the Rot Islands? I don't know. And the deep quake capital of the world sees a deep quake at over 500 kilometers. It's a 4.4 magnitude near Fiji. Followed in short order. Less than an hour later, we see a 4.8 south of Tonga. So deep quake, and then just to the southeast of it, a larger quake at the surface. And let's look at volcanoes. Abiko's still erupting. Flight level 6,000 there. Nishino-shima, still producing an 8,000-foot ash plume. Cinnabung, which is the deadliest volcano of the past couple of years. It killed a few hundred people via a tsunami. I believe that was Cinnabung, wasn't it? Didn't Cinnabung generate a tsunami? Correct me if I'm wrong. Semeru, flight level 130 as it explodes. That's 13,000 feet. Fuego exploding. Flight level 150. Sangay exploding. 20,000-foot ash plume there. Sabancaya exploding. Unlike me, because something's going to break, and it ain't going to be me, but something's breaking at Sabancaya. It's producing a 22,000-foot plume of ash. Don't fly your home-built kit helicopter over the caldera. Lots of heat warnings and red flag stuff out west. Please stay hydrated and don't forget your electrolytes. Because if you drink water, you can drink water all day, and with no electrolytes, the water becomes a hazard instead of a help. We won't talk about it in today's episode. Here's Windy.com's pressure maps. We're going to allow the GFS forecast to advance this into tomorrow. Tomorrow. And here's where we're expecting things to be. Where I'll stop talking in a stilted fashion. And there's where things will be tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern Daylight Time. What will you be doing tomorrow at noon Eastern Daylight Time? Patrons? I'll be hiding in an underground fortress made of lead from the government. Just kidding. It's only lead reinforced. All right, so it's not made of lead. Here's where jet streams are, according to nullschool.net's data. We show it daily. And we've got double jet streams over the U.S. And not a lot of cold air being injected. Here's the eastern world's jets. Let's look at some more meteorological data. Lightningmaps.org is showing us some strong storms across Minnesota. Sweeping across the northern part of the state. Duluth, you are in the crosshairs. St. Cloud, you're in the crosshairs too. It's closing in Duluth. Hey, Atkin, there's thunder rolling in right now. Check out lightningmaps.org for your real-time lightning maps if you hear thunder. Convince your foes that you're Thor. Or perhaps convince your GF that you're Odin by forecasting thunder. It can be done. I just did it the other day, actually. Water vapor maps for Africa and for Europe. Water vapor maps for the Far East and Oceania. Someplace I plan to go on New Year's Eve one of these years. To American Samoa. Yes, Pago Pago. Or is it Pago Pago? Or is it Pago Pago? I have no idea. I don't speak Polynesian languages. All right. Water vapor maps for the Americas. And I apologize showing you OBS. So we've got some strong storms sweeping across, just getting into South Dakota here. You're going to get a double hit today, northern Minnesota. That is a serious storm. And remember, folks, the northwest corner in the northern hemisphere is the worst place to be in a situation like that. So if you see the red radar, you could be in line for things like damaging wind and hail and possibly even tornadoes. Now, it's not super cold up there right now. There's not a lot of cold air infusing. That's a good thing. Check out the shockwave clouds on the front of this. Quite amazing. Great image of the cloud layer, and you can see a bunch of low clouds down here. This is a very interesting thing here. These low clouds are basically changing altitude. Fantastic, fantastic footage there of some violent stuff happening. Hoping everybody is doing okay in places like northern Minnesota. That's a fierce line of storms there. Let's take a look at it close up in water vapor. I think we can get the South Dakota ones also. That'll give you an idea of what the storm track will be, folks. If the Doppler radar is not giving you the information you need, make that Doppler radar vanish. And look at a water vapor map. The water vapor map will tell you the truth. The truth is out there, folks. It's part of the reason why we have a channel. We felt the need to inform people of things that a lot of people don't seem to understand. Like the fact that all this nitrogen down here is more massive than this dihydrogen oxide. Did you know? Yeah. Moist air is less dense, less massive than dry air because of the molar weight, or you could say the molecular mass of nitrogen versus water vapor. And hey, Smash team, thanks for tuning in. We've got bonus features, so keep your head and arms inside the Smash plane at all times. Because we're going to show you a 304 angstrom view, an intensity gram, and a colorized magnetogram. First, the colorized magnetogram. And I think we're down to 0 sunspots, or if this is one, it's weaker than the Constitution of Joe Biden. Weaker than Kamala Harris's record on corruption. Did you sleep your way into a better job? Let us know in the comments. Kamala did. It's well known. I don't think there are any sunspots, folks. Oh, no, there's one. I think that might be a sunspot yet. It could lose its name today. Don't be surprised if we move into 0 sunspots. Take a look at this filamentary activity. There's a bunch of it in the east and the west. We got filamentary activity all around the limbs here, the whole entire perimeter of the sun. A bunch of filaments. Don't be surprised if you see some of that eject. Keep an eye on stereo A on the Integrated Space Weather Analysis System. Stare at the sun, don't drink, no matter how much the government drives you to want to drink. And if you do drink, certainly don't drive. Don't drive, period. It just sucks. I might see you out there, and preferably, I prefer to have the roads empty. So, you know, stay home. Stay home. Don't cough on me. And more content coming soon. Welcome to the Neo Renaissance. Visit the links below the video, as we need your support to continue to exist. And since it'll never be now again, may that solar wind be at your back and that atherosclerosis absent from your arteries.